The Spiritual Surgery Podcast with Paula Mary, international psychic medium and healer. The Spiritual Surgery Podcast is a development show focusing on techniques, debates, guests, and much more. To get in touch, email spiritualsurgery@thepsychicclinic.com.
Rachel Streeter is the founder of Sacred Stones Shamanic Centre in Bexhill-on-Sea, East Sussex. Shamanism has truly opened Rachel's eyes to a new and authentic way of serving others and progressing in her own spiritual practice. Rachel qualified as a therapeutic counsellor and clinical hypnotherapist before moving down from the south to coast in 2007 and launched her first business called Calm Farm. And I'm just going to say, I worked in social services around that time, and the Calm Farm was offered to some of our people that were working there. So I have a link with Rachel just a little bit. After being asked to develop wellbeing workshops for teenagers at Hastings College in 2012, Rachel realised how much need and support for young people suffering from anxiety and low self-esteem. Rachel developed a community interest company called Remarkable Me, which specialised in running low-cost after-school programs to support children and young people with mental healing issues and learning difficulties, as well as families. So I'm really delighted to welcome Rachel onto the Spiritual Surgery Podcast. Hello, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, Paula. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate that.
It's a pleasure. And I will tell the listeners that I know you from doing some healing. You've done some healing for me. And it's absolutely amazing. And when I actually meet someone who has true gifts, I ask them on the podcast. So here we are. So the first thing is, how did you move from the counselling into shamanism?
Well, it's been a bit of a journey. Originally, I thought I was going to be a musician.
Wow.
I used to be, a singer-songwriter. I went and did performing arts diploma and a music degree, and just that was my industry. That was my passion for many, many years. Up until my sort of mid 20s, I'd say. I guess, just after years of trying to, wondering when the next gig was coming and just being part of that whole industry, which is, it's quite a chaotic one. And obviously a lot of it involves ego and money. And,
right.
And in the end, I just kind of got sick of the whole thing. So
right.
After years of the rat race, I sort of decided to try something else that was close to my heart, which was supporting other people. So I went in and retrained as a therapeutic counsellor.
Wow.
And I went into, soon after I qualified, I also did my clinical hypnotherapy training, and then I moved from London down to here and set up practice.
Wow.
So it's many years of seeing various different clients, and it kind of branched out into supporting children and young people in schools and colleges, and we were running all sorts of different therapeutic programs.
Yes. And did you bring your music into that as well?
Not at that point.
Right.
I was at the very beginning running some music sensory groups for young children with disabilities, which were funded. It was a community interest company before I could have directed it down to the more of a community-based program working in schools and colleges. So it kind of escalated from there, and I wrote various wellbeing journals as well for children and young people, which were particularly helpful through the COVID stage. But it was actually COVID, excuse me, that kind of forced me into ending that company. I had done my shamanic training already and was seeing friends and family and really wanting to sort of dive into that. But because I was running these groups in schools and colleges, it was quite difficult to do that. So COVID kind of gave me permission, if you like, to really focus on sacred stones and, you know, bring it into the community as it is now. You know, counselling and psychology definitely has its place, and I fully do believe in it, which is why I bring some of those models into the neo-shamanic training that I run. But you know, from a shamanic perspective, when a person experiences trauma in their life, I know that small fragments of their soul could break off and leave the physical body. So if you can imagine, the more trauma people experience in their life, the more soul loss, and significant soul loss is actually a very dangerous place for people to be in. I don't know if you've ever looked in somebody's eyes who you know have been through a lot of trauma, and you just see that the sparkle's gone.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I know I had a would you call it a soul retrieval with you, and I completely changed. I completely felt more centered, more grounded, feel back in my body, and I was out of it as well. So absolutely. And you're right. I look at clients and sometimes think, oh goodness, you know, the trauma.
Exactly. And no amount of talking therapy is going to encourage those soul parts back to the physical body.
No.
And this is where I decided to sort of break away from that counselling psychology model, and not fully, but parts of it, and really dive into the shamanic practice, because I know through my personal experience of shamanism and through working with clients that once those soul parts have reconnected, it really does aid that full healing experience for people.
Absolutely, and that's why I trained as a you know, being a shaman as well, and it is really earthy and grounded, and it really helped me as well. So I love it all, and I love seeing you work as well. And you bring your music into it. I know you do, because the drum, and you really sort of go into, would you say you go into a trance when you do the work, Rachel?
I think when I do soul retrievals on my clients one-to-one, then I would go into a trance-like state, because it's the only way that we can be able to connect into those other worlds, the shamanic worlds, and receive that guidance and that support we need to be of service for the clients. And the drum certainly does aid that journey as well. I mean, the drum is such a powerful tool. You know, it's not just an instrument. You know, it's, if you can imagine, you know, it's the first thing that we hear in our mother's womb for 9 months. It's that heartbeat. You know, it's the thing that centers us and balances our nervous system, and the thing that connects us to the earth and, you know, with our loved ones. So, you know, it's so easy to be able to use the drum as a medicine instrument or a medicine tool to be able to go to the places we need to in order to heal, to balance, to shift energy and blocks.
Yes, and would you say it's like a freeness? So away from the school and the, you know, the work, the programs that you did there, would you say that the shamanism is more of a freeness within you, so that you can just get what is needed for the client?
Yeah, a freeness. I mean, it's certainly not as clinical as the counselling psychology practice. I mean, I'm very much one for empowering my clients, rather than saying, you know, you need to come and see me every week for 6 to 12 sessions. You know, it's a very different situation to counselling. And, you know, I encourage my clients to obviously take some time after the sessions with me, because sometimes it can be a little bit challenging for people when we're shifting blocks that have been there for a very long time. But it's important to know that, after a certain amount of time, when things settle and balance again, I encourage my clients to really kind of be present in their progress and choose when they feel it's time to come back and see me with, regarding whatever it is that they want to work on next.
Yes.
I think that's really...
Well, I agree with that totally. That's how I do it as well. It is about the individual, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And how they feel afterwards. And
yeah.
I think if people say you must come back, that, you question that a little bit.
Yeah, because it's, for me, it's not about the money, and it shouldn't be for any ethical practitioner or therapist, regardless of what industry they're in, because that just builds codependence. And that was one of the other reasons I stepped away from the therapeutic industry, because I found that, my clients, even though they were working through stuff, they were always at the end of the session, right, when can I see you next? What time, what day, what? And it was just building this quite unhealthy codependence. And that's not what therapy is all about.
No,
it's about not. Growth, isn't it? About healing.
Yes.
It's about empowerment and resilience.
Yes. And also, like you say, there's a settlement in energies, isn't there? It takes time for things to shift and work through. And we ourselves, we have to connect to that energy and because it's ours. And we have to sort of acknowledge it rather than like get someone to clear it away or do whatever. Sometimes I feel we need to sit within it, don't we, to know that we don't want it there anymore, or for it to just disperse.
Exactly. And it's, it's not for the faint-hearted either. No. It's not all, rainbows and butterflies. But
no, it's not.
Any healing journey, when it's powerful and significant, as you will know, can be a challenge. But we have to, I always say that we have to be kind of almost broken sometimes to be able to really learn those powerful lessons. So we can just transcend and move forward.
And sometimes we don't want to go and get the help. We think we can deal with it, especially being spiritual. Like for myself, sometimes it's like, I can deal with it. But sometimes it's too huge, like especially with the ancestral work you did with work with me. You can't do that on your own, and sometimes it's a bit like, oh, you think you fail if you need to go and get healing. But all I'm going to say is no, you need to go.
Yeah.
And the most important thing you can do for yourself is to get that help for yourself without having to like struggle with it. And we can't see things the same way. After my session with you, I had much more insight to what was going on, and I'm like, whoa, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes working with other people, doesn't it, to really sort of be able to look inside and understand what's happening for ourselves. I mean, I go to other shamanic practitioners as well sometimes when I have a block or something, because I just don't think I don't think we're kind of given this opportunity of life if we're only helping ourselves. I think we've been placed here to be of service to others. So I understand now why many times where I've tried to heal myself, it hasn't been particularly successful. Yet when I went to my teacher or another practitioner, it was just the issue was resolved immediately.
Yes. So and it's finding the right one as well. It's finding the right one. As too. And I don't know what that is, but I took a long time to find you. No, but you know what I mean? It takes time to find the right person, but then there's lessons in that as well, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I often think people are guided to certain people.
Yes.
It's not just a conscious decision, is it? Like checking on Google and seeing how many reviews someone has. And, it's just that pull kind of energetic pull to a certain individual that intuitively could potentially help you, but also perhaps your guides or your spirit guides.
Well, it was a friend of mine that was working, and you were there. It was she was doing crystals, and she was going around asking people to come on the podcast, and she gave me your card, and I looked at that and went, "Oh, yes." And that was it.
Business card.
Yes. So Rachel, were your family spiritual, and did you inherit your gifts from them, or how was it growing up?
They are spiritual, but they're more religious.
Okay.
My dad was actually a vicar of a Christian Church of England church.
Right.
Believe it or not.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so I grew up in a very religious household and had to go to church twice every Sunday. And I never felt particularly comfortable in church. And I don't think it was the church, because I love going into old churches now. But I think it was just all the energies in the church that people bring. And often I found over the years that a lot of these congregations, they bring a lot of baggage with them because they're wanting to be part of a community, and they're, and they're in pain. But there were a lot of issues with a lot of members of the church where my father was preaching as a child. And there were a lot of darkness around as well. And, that's the other thing with shamanism. It's not all light. There has to be a balance of dark and light for us to be able to understand what we're battling against each time. And, I actually, I don't know if I'd mentioned to you before, Paula, but there was, I think the reason why I eventually came to shamanism was because of a dark entity that was living in my home as a child.
Right.
Even though my dad was a vicar, this thing kind of laughed at him when he tried to pray or do whatever he needed to do. And it's funny because when I was 10, we moved to this home, and I wasn't allowed to move in with them. So I wasn't sure why at the time, but I was sort of placed with some friends of theirs for a couple of days so that they could redecorate.
Right.
And I realised after that they needed to redecorate my room because it was all painted black, and there was a black carpet and satanic symbols under the carpet.
Wow.
So obviously, my parents didn't realise that something satanic had been going on in this home before we moved in, until they ripped up the carpet, So it became obvious that previous occupants were messing with dark energies.
Right.
And, I never felt comfortable in that house, and particularly in my room for obvious reasons. But, it was only really when I hit puberty that, things really went dark in the house. And I've since, working with, because I do a lot of home heals for people, I realised that this is quite a common thing for children to be attacked when they reach that puberty age, which is a real shame. So, but this thing, it wasn't like an earthbound spirit. It wasn't.
Could you see it, Rachel? Did you actually see it, or did you feel it?
It was like Paula. It was like a horror film.
Oh gosh.
This thing. It was violent.
Oh gosh.
It pushed my mum down the stairs. It tried to suffocate my friend. What it used to do was stand over me when I was laying in bed, and it felt like it placed like a blanket of paralysis over me.
Yeah, yes.
So I couldn't move and I couldn't speak, and it would stand over me and hold me in place. And the only thing I knew to do to get out of that situation is just recite the Lord's Prayer over and over in my head. And by the time I got to the end of the prayer, it just released and I could run out of my room. But, this went on and on and on until I moved out when I was 18, so 8 years.
So no one came to sort of try and clear it away, or?
Well, my dad tried, but nothing worked. They did get a high priest in, that didn't work. So eventually they moved. I moved out first because I went off to university, and then I think it was soon after this thing started then attacking my brother.
Oh,
so they just sold up and left. But it's the reason why I wrote this book called The Gift of Fear.
Yes.
Because believe it or not, this thing that happened to me, it was obviously so traumatic at the time, and I carried a lot of PTSD with me for many years after that.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, had I not have been through that situation, though, I wouldn't have finally reached out to another shaman when I moved down here.
Right.
And I had a very powerful soul retrieval, and that fear that I'd been carrying with me. Probably about over 20 years, 25 years perhaps.
So did you have a fear then of other energies then after that? Did you then go a bit in fear of, oh, what's that? Or like, did you think, oh, I see.
I did, because I mean, I was always very sensitive as a child, so I would hear things and see things, but it was only when I had a lot of intuition about knowing when things were going to happen. So I was very sensitive anyway, but this particular thing was it was unreal, really, but very it's a unique situation. It doesn't happen to a lot of people. I don't want to scare your listeners, but it certainly caused me to carry the fear with me. So whenever I had other experiences after, which were, they weren't traumatic, they were just people that had died and got stuck, that calling for help, things like that, which happens all the time, as you well know. Yes. But because I had this PTSD, everything was triggered. Right. And I just got so tired of living in fear all the time that I just decided, right, enough's enough. And someone guided me to this shaman who ended up being my teacher.
Wow.
And and then overnight things just
changed.
They just changed for me. And now I'm just so honoured to be able to help other people that are having.
And now, do you see the dark energy being a shaman differently? Do you like when someone comes to you and they've got like an energy there do you see that differently now? Like you're not in fear of it. Do you see that it just needs to transition?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the most important thing to take from all of this is that when you carry fear with you, you become vulnerable and a target.
Right.
So it's the fear that they love. Right. So I don't have any of that anymore. I can go into a home that has, spirits wandering around, and because 9 times out of 10, these people are just stuck and they need help.
Yeah, that's what the shaman teaches us, doesn't it? That they're
exactly.
They've had a life themselves. They've had some trauma themselves, and they need to be transitioned over.
They do need help, but the people that are living in these homes don't know that, so they're carrying fear as well. So it's I feel like sometimes it's my job to try to educate them, and knowing that they've come to you for help and not wanting to harm you. And it's very rare that I'm faced with anything dark. That's a unique situation. I haven't actually experienced anything as dark as I did in my teenage years.
Because your fear's not there. So did the fear take time to just disappear, Rachel, or was it just like an instant
thing? Just the moment I had the soul retrieval.
Wow.
I walked out and I felt completely different. And my repetitive dream that I'd been having about that situation for 25 years, I never had it again. No. And I know it's because there's from a shamanic perspective, when things grab hold of us, the dark energies, it's almost as if they have like a fine cording or connection to you. So you may not see them or hear them or know that they're around, but they are connected in by this fine cording that's just sort of filtering in this fear, just to keep you on your toes and stop you from making certain decisions, healthy decisions that you may have done if you weren't carrying that fear, And that's what they do. They try to steer you off track.
Yes.
And any light worker will say that they've had countless amounts of sabotage because,
yes.
you know, the darkness.
I mean, I have as well, as you know.
Yeah. So you
so
probably...
your book, The Fear, Rachel, where can people buy that? Where can people get that?
It's called The Gift of Fear. It is on Amazon, but I like to just say to people, look, you know, when you come and see me, you know, you're welcome to buy a copy there, or my students often buy a copy. But, you know, they can go on my website and email me and I'll post one out, basically. Okay. So, yeah, I try to avoid Amazon as much as possible.
Yes. I'm sure it's helped a lot of people, because that is a story in itself, isn't it?
It is.
But presuming then you feel that you had to go through that to be where you are now.
I'm grateful for it.
Yes.
Now I'm grateful for it, because I wouldn't have developed into the person I am. I wouldn't have received all those valuable teachings. I wouldn't have created sacred stones. And, you know, now I offer so many different services. It's kind of snowballed, you know, since COVID in particular, because our awakened communities are growing, aren't they?
Yes, particularly since COVID as well, isn't it? Like everybody wants that spiritual insight.
Yeah, they're looking for you know, another kind of journey for their healing, and counselling is not for everyone. So yeah, I don't just see clients now. I run the neo-shamanic training programs, which is you know, a combination of psychotherapeutic tools and you know, knowledge around the inner child, and all the shamanic medicine as well. And plus, I have a shamanic herbalist that comes and assists me on the course for a couple of modules, and she's got some wonderful knowledge on how to, you know, be healed by our own native plants. You know. And of course, I bring in the empowerment activities as well, because I don't know if you know, I'm also a firewalking instructor.
Yes, you did tell me in a session, and I went, oh, I'm not sure I can do that, but I'm looking forward to it, and I will. With myself, I will embrace it. So I'll embrace it. Not sure how I'll do, but you know.
Yeah, you know, you wouldn't be the first one that has said before I, you know, create the firewall, that I'm not going to do it. But I think when people understand the gifts and the healing that can come from working with the,
and I think it's the person that's doing it as well. I mean, I trust you. I mean, I know, you know, I don't know you that well, but I trust your ability and your gifts. So I would trust that.
Yeah. I mean, I did have significant training for it.
Yes. Well, I trust that as well.
Yeah. I don't just build a fire and get people to jump on it. But it's a wonderful activity that helps to harness all of the teachings that I offer on the course, and it's a way of, you know, really walking the walk rather than just talking the talk. You know, and putting things in action and really helping to build that resilience after people go through the different stages that they do on the course. And it's really powerful. I love working with Grandfather Fire with the shamanic courses. I really do.
No, fantastic. So going back to, we always have like a light bulb moment in our lives, like, this is what I want to do. I've got to do this. When did that sort of happen to you? Or did you not have a light bulb moment? Because some people don't.
Yeah, the light bulb moment.
Like, I've got to do this. I have to do this as a career.
I think it was after that soul retrieval I had from my shamanic teacher. Yeah, because when I went to see her, I had no intentions of doing any training at all. Right. I mean, I'd always been interested in shamanism. I remember reading a book about the Lakota tribe. It was my brother's book. It was a beautiful leather-bound book, and I used to sneak in his room and read it and look at all the pictures of the tribes. And I had this sort of fantasy about riding bareback on these horses, and you know, it was always there in the back of my mind. And I loved how they lived and supported community and really honoured the earth and the plants that they, you know, that were living amongst. But it wasn't something I was going to bring into, you know, a professional practice until I had that soul retrieval. And I literally walked away from there and felt like a completely different person. The next day I just called her up and said, right, when's your next training course? And
it's a bit like what I've done to you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Walked on a course.
Yeah.
See, that's positive, isn't it?
Yeah, it's wonderful. It really was. It's the best way of doing it, I think.
Yeah. So your community is growing. So how did you start building up your community of sacred stones? First of all, how did the name come about?
How did the name? I think because, I've always been a great lover of crystals and stones. I've worked with stones and crystals for years, and I have had some training, online courses. But I think with that kind of thing, when you're working with these earth tools, the best way of learning is just to sit with them, and just be intuitive to the energies that they offer you. Because they're living things, aren't they? I mean, crystals grow over time.
Yes.
And from a shamanic perspective, pretty much everything has a spirit.
Yes.
It's not just people wandering around. It's the oceans, it's the seas, it's the plants, it's the trees, it's the mountains and the hills. And, so for me, sacred stones was about working with those earth energies and the earth tools, to be able to really harness that shamanic, the shamanic teachings.
Yes.
And it just sort of grew from there. Like I think I mentioned, I started off with just seeing friends and family, and then other people were wanting to come to me. And when I had more time to offer and grow the business after COVID, I started to see more and more clients, and then people were saying, can you run workshops? And so I started doing that, and guided meditations, shamanic journeys, and then it was all about the drum for quite some time. And the shamanic drum is it's my tool, it's my ally, it's my medicine tool, and it is for many other shamanic practitioners.
I love my drum.
Yeah. And I wanted to make my own drum, but it was important to me to know where the hide had come from.
Yes.
Because as far as I'm concerned, if the animals have been caged or traumatized or even hunted, I know that these animals hold that trauma within them even after they pass. So it was important to me to know where the hides had come from, and I was searching for months and months, contacting various animal rescue homes locally, and asking them. I think they probably thought I was a bit mental, but I was asking them for the hides of the animals after they had passed, and I said, I would make the drums and give you commission to help towards the rescue centres. But I think I went to 3 or 4, and they all said no, and there was lots of doors in my face. And then eventually a client came to see me who did some part-time working for the police, and he was it was his job to go and retrieve the deer from the roads that had been killed sadly by the cars.
Yes.
And I just had this conversation with him and just said, like, how would you feel about skinning the deer and giving me the hides so I could then learn the fleshing process and the dehairing?
Yes.
And he said, fine, because otherwise I just get incinerated.
Oh, yes.
So, the deer do not die in vain.
No.
When I manage to, when I'm offered them, and I go through a really beautiful sort of honouring process with them when I'm doing the fleshing and the dehairing. And I spent probably 6 months looking at YouTube videos and learning the process myself, and with many failed attempts at the beginning. It's now been 5 years birthing drums and for other people, and also running drum birthing workshops so people can come to me and have that experience themselves over a whole day.
Wow.
That's really amazing. Things are just growing, and it's wonderful. The retreats I'm doing now, I love to be part of the solstice and the equinox energies and host these day retreats. And there's more training coming up next year for people who want to learn about how to hold space with groups.
Yes.
and how to be able to do that safely and ethically for the participants, but also more importantly so that they feel confident and really grounded in that process, because it can be quite challenging to be holding space for groups of people. So watch this space kind of thing, Paula.
Well, absolutely. I'd like to be part of some of that. Now, as this is a development show, I always ask a guest to give one technique that they use daily that might help them. Anything you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, shamanism to me predominantly is about a deep connection with nature and spirit. It's the oldest known system of spiritual healing and practice, and predates formal organized religions as well by tens of thousands of years. And fundamentally it's grounded in animism as well, which is the belief that everything holds a spirit, as I've mentioned before. And I'm not just talking about the trees and the animals, I'm talking about everything that's living. And all these things are elements are grounded in shamanism and teach us how to live a more balanced and healthy life. So if I can offer just one thing to your listeners, it would be to just be present with nature. And it sounds really simple, but it's actually a powerful process. Society we live in now has created such disturbance with our communities and our mind, and we've forgotten how to live in the present moment, because we've all become obsessed with the past, and allowing the past to define us and control our decision making, and even the future. A lot of people are obsessed with, got to do this for the future, got to bring this money in, I've got to set that up, and we've lost the ability to be present. So for me to be able to go and just sort of sit in some woodland, even if it's just for half an hour, I mean, I'd always recommend a few hours if possible, and switch off from technology and just be there with the energies of nature, because they can be such a wonderful teacher. It's quite incredible. Some of my greatest lessons have come from simply just watching a bee pollinate, or be with an oak tree, or wild swimming in a sacred lake. So that would be the advice I would offer, is to give yourself permission to take 3 hours if possible out of your day, and leave everything at home and just be. No expectations. No plan, no judgment, no criticism. Just see what.
That's when you get the messages. Your intuitive side comes forward more anyway, doesn't it? When there's a tree in Housham which I just love, and I go to it and I just touch the tree, and everything for that split second seems to be grounded, and you can get more intuitive thoughts. Without that fuzziness going in your head, just really still. I think that's really important.
I mean, it's possible to really tune into that energy, whether you're doing a guided meditation, like if there's somebody there who's leading that process, or whether you're able to just really sink in deep to that meditative process on your own. We can receive messages from these trees. I've had some incredible ones from yew trees in particular, because they're one of the oldest living trees, aren't they? In England, they live up to thousands of years, so they see so much. And to receive those messages from like the wild elders of the woods, it's really a powerful process. So that would be my message. Just be more present with nature.
No, fantastic. So finally, Rachel, where can people find you? What events are coming up, and what else do you offer?
Well, obviously I see clients. I run the annual Neo Shamanic training program, which is 7 modules. I run full-day immersive retreats around equinox and solstice days. I run drum circles, and you don't have to have been to a drum circle. It's not about playing an instrument or being good at it. It's just about immersing yourself in the power of that drum circle and meeting like-minded people and just being one with the drum. It's quite a powerful experience, and they're just 2 hours long, so it's quite easy to sort of dip into that. I run the drum birthing workshops as well. It's a full day. And yeah, as I mentioned, there's other things happening, new things happening next year with more training programs. So yeah, it's all on my website. It's just sacredstones.org.uk. And there's a Facebook page as well called Sacred Stones Shamanic. So everything's on there. Feel free if anyone wants to email me with any questions, and I'm always happy to, just to answer as much as I can.
Fantastic. Well, Rachel, it was lovely to have you on the show. It's lovely to get a real insight into you and your background and when you were growing up and your stories. So thank you very much for appearing on the Spiritual Surgery Show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Paula. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Spiritual Surgery Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to get in touch with us, just send us an email to spiritualsurgery@thepsychicclinic.com.